How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination. If you are new to the channel, do not forget to like and subscribe for more content. Today, your boy is going to be hosting his own award show. I'm going to be doing my own NBA award show, and I have my own awards as well as some of the regular NBA awards. It took me a while to do this. This idea was actually inspired by Crispy Flakes. He's a 2K YouTuber, very good. Go check him out. If I sound like I'm kind of sick, that's because I'm kind of fearing that I'm kind of sick. So, we're going to start off with the 76ers and end off with not the Golden State Warriors, but the Washington Wizards. There we go. So, the team MVP goes to Joel Embiid. He's averaging like 27 points and 13 rebounds. My only problem with him is he's still on a minutes restriction, and he kind of doesn't play in back-to-back games, so I would like to see that improve. Late game MVP. So this is the guy who you need to put the ball in his hand because he just makes good plays. Jimmy Butler. He has hit some big time shots. They call him Jimmy Buckets for a reason, and I think his play late game will explain that. And then finally, the 76ers Injured Rookie Achievement Award. This goes to Zaire Smith. He missed a lot of his rookie season due to injury. It seems to be the common theme for every 76ers player ever drafted since Joel Embiid. Maybe even before that, actually. For the Milwaukee Bucks, the Eastern Conference MVP, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. What he's done this year on the NBA's only 60-win team has been remarkable. He's so dominant on offense and on defense. He doesn't even need to play serious minutes to, certify his dominance. Most efficient player, I have Malcolm Brogdon. So this is a player who got into the prestigious 50-40-90 club. So for people who don't know what the 50-40-90 club is, that the 50 represents shooting 50% or higher for your field goal percentage. The 40% represents shooting 40% or higher from the three-point line. And the 90 represents your free throw percentage. Malcolm Brogdon is the 8th or 9th player in NBA history to reach that elite club. The know your role player, Chris Middleton. This is a dude who knows exactly what he needs to do for the Milwaukee Bucks, and he's probably the best complementary player that Giannis can ever ask for. And then the most underrated free agent, I'm going to go with Brook Lopez, man. He went from a dude who was kind of fizzling out to a dude who had to adapt to the style of today's NBA. He can shoot threes, he's a better inside defender, and he's become more of a shot-blocking presence. By the way, some teams will have more awards than others. Just putting that out there. I think there's a couple of teams with only one award, so watch out. For team MVP, I have Zach LaVine. He was easily the best player on this team. He did a lot for the Chicago Bulls. Some big scoring nights, some comeback wins. This is a team who's still in the rebuild phase, and it's going to be that way for a few more seasons, but Zach LaVine is the player to have for this process. The Eastern Conference's most underrated draft selection, I have Wendell Carter Jr. He started the year off missing a lot of time, but he is easily a very good player. He has played well this year. Of course, a good inside scorer, developing that mid-range a little bit. He came into this draft as one of the better defensive players as well. So I feel like he's just been a very underrated player in the draft process after coming back from injury. And then the most beneficial trade acquisition, I have Otto Porter Jr. When they brought in Otto Porter, he just immediately filled in that small forward gap. They have not had a good, competent small forward since Luol Deng. They've tried Denzel Valentine for a long time. He's just not worked out. Otto Porter has, and you could tell by the scoring numbers he's been putting up. Next, we are going to go to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, they have 2 award winners. This was pretty tough, actually. The best rookie on the worst team is Colin Sexton. Dude's having an underrated rookie season, like 17 points a game. The rebounds and the assists are nothing special. He's more of a shooting guard than the point guard, like he's listed. He's listed as a point guard, but he plays more like a shooting guard. He's shooting like 43% from the field. He's just having a solid season, but of course, LeBron James isn't in Cleveland, so Cleveland's going to get no press. And then finally, my Moving in Silence award. So this is a player who has low-key had a career season, and that's Jordan Clarkson. Easily the best scoring average in his career, and a more efficient year for Jordan Clarkson. Next, for the Boston Celtics, they're one of the better teams in the NBA, but they only have 2 award winners for me. The biggest X Factor award, I have Al Horford. He's just one of the most versatile big men in the league. He has become a better passer over his career. He can shoot the 3-ball, really effective inside as well, and a versatile defender. And then the Rumor Mill award goes to Kyrie Irving. If he's not saying he's going to stay in Boston, or saying see me in July 1st, or saying the earth is flat, or saying that no one wants to face him in a 7-game series, or saying that the conversation with Kevin Durant was not tampering, regardless of what it is, Kyrie is always in the news about something, so he is the Rumor Mill Award winner. Next up, we have the LA Clippers. So the best role player duo, I have Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. These are 2 guys who actually come off the bench. Lou Williams is most likely going to win the 6th Man of the Year. He will be a 2-time winner if that were to happen. Montrezl Harrell is just a very good hustle player off the bench and a really good defensive-minded player as well. Kind of a late bloomer in his career. He's already on his 2nd NBA contract, but a very good player at that. Let's see, the most underrated starter, I have Danilo Gallinari. He's having like the 2nd best season in his career, the best season since he was in Denver, in his early years with Denver. Remember, he was a New York Knick, and he was a part of that Melo trade. Kind of fizzled out of Denver, found his way with the Clippers, and no looking back for him. And then the Finessing Your Own Brother award, I have the LA Clippers acquiring Ivica Zubac from the LA Lakers for virtually nothing. He's just a nice young center with upside. He's like a 2nd-round pick. I think he'll be re-signed by this team for a decent contract, And he's just been a decent player. He looked really good for the Lakers. I was surprised they even traded him. That was just very strange. They traded him for a guy who apparently is a good 3-point shooting big named Mike Muscala, who's been on 4 NBA teams prior in the first 3 years of his career, which obviously if he were good, that wouldn't be the case. So, yeah, and he's a terrible 3-point shooter, turns out. The Grizzlies, it was hard, but I have 2 award winners. So the award, the first one is the Get Out movie cover award. So if you know the movie Get Out, where the dude's eyes are so wide, like, run, like, get out, I need to get out of here, that's Mike Conley. He needs to get the hell out of Memphis. That is the award winner, Mike Conley, the Get Out movie cover award winner. Mike Conley is the best player on this Memphis Grizzlies team by far, and he's been here for a long time. He's been here his entire career. They're way past the glory years of when Marcus Gasol, Zach Randolph, and Tony Allen was here. It's just time to move on. It's pretty simple. And then the Bright Future Award, I have Jaren Jackson Jr. His skill set is more served for a center. He's 6'11". He's a good shot blocker. He's a good defender. He's a solid 3-point shooter. His skill set is more served for a center. I think he is going to be a very good player for this team moving forward. He could be the building block for this team if they actually try to rebuild. For the Atlanta Hawks, I have 2 award winners. I have the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Year, Trae Young, man. Ice trade a game, man. Yeah, it's just incredible what he has been able to do for the Atlanta Hawks. I remember when he got drafted, Hawks fans were going crazy on social media saying, this is the worst trade we've made. This is worse than when we drafted Marvin Williams over Chris Paul. And I'm like, no, Trae Young's going to be fine, man. He led the NCAA in points and assists per game. And guess what? He almost led rookies in points per game, but he definitely led in assists. Trae Young is a legit player. I think he's a really good player. I'd like to see him improve defensively, but dude can ball. And then My other award, potential future All-Star selection award, I have John Collins. He really improved this game this season all across the board, and I think if he can continue to improve and grow as a player, I think he could potentially make an All-Star team someday. I really believe that. I know Hawks fans were kind of intrigued with the selection of John Collins when he first was drafted. And I think there's a lot of intrigue still there, and I think there's a lot of room to grow. I think he can be a really good player. For the Miami Heat, I have 2 awards. I have a tie for one of the awards. So first off, the Eastern Conference Legacy Award, I have Dwayne Wade. Of course, he is retiring. Very unfortunate, man. He was actually one of my favorite players to watch. I had a lot of favorite players to watch, so when I say that, just ignore the phrase because it's overused, but I really had a lot of players I enjoyed watching, and Prime Wade was one of them. I got to see a little bit of Prime Wade when I got into basketball kind of later in my childhood, before football. Or no, after football, I should say, because I watched football first. So a little bit after that, I started to follow the NBA. Wade was always a solid player, and in the playoffs, he was really good. He's going to go down as probably the 3rd best shooting guard all time, behind Michael Jordan and Kobe. But the second award is the most undervalued role players, and I have Josh Richardson and where's he at? James Johnson. So James Johnson is one tough SOB. He just brings toughness and grit to this team, versatility on defense, decent shooting. And then if you look at Josh Richardson, he is a 3-and-D player, a guy that can shoot threes, play good defense. They're both underrated, and they both have been key players to why the Heat have been able to get into the playoffs up until this season, of course, because they're not in the playoffs. The Charlotte Hornets, 2 awards, man. It was really hard picking 2 awards with this team, let me tell you. So I have the Michael Jordan Legacy Award. I have Kemba Walker. You're probably like, well, what's the Michael Jordan Legacy Award? Well, Michael Jordan is the owner, I believe, of the Charlotte Hornets, and Kemba Walker is the best player, so he gets the Michael Jordan Legacy Award. And then the second award is the someone other than Kemba that can actually contribute award, and that's Jeremy Lamb. He's really stepped up his play this season and as of late, and he's representing my home state of Connecticut. Keep it up, boys. Now we have the Utah Jazz. Defensive Player of the Year, I got Rudy Gobert. One of the best versatile defenders of all of basketball, the best rim protector, the best shot blocker, and an underrated offensive player. Most underrated, not even the most underrated, but an underrated draft selection award. Where's he at? I know he's down here somewhere. I don't know where. Grayson Allen. He has played later in the year. Like, he got to play late. He had like a 40-point game, I think. And then he had a 23-point game. But I think he can be a good player for this team. He can definitely shoot. I know the attributes on 2K don't really justify that, but he can score the ball. He kind of needs to work on that defense a little bit. But I think he could be a player that could be a legit rotational piece for the Utah Jazz. And, of course, the most quiet trash talker, I have Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is slick, isn't he? He's a trash talker. He's a gamer. And he's a really good basketball player as well. For the Sacramento Kings, the Western Conference Most Improved Player Award, I have De'Aaron Fox. Year 1, I thought he was a pretty solid rookie, but nothing too special compared to some of the other guys that were technically rookies, like Kyle Kuzma, Donovan Mitchell, the dude who won that wasn't even a rookie that year. But you have De'Aaron Fox here, who really stepped it up from year 1 to year 2. He developed more of a leadership role with the organization, and he upped his stats pretty well, and he definitely improved this game all across the board. My next award is the Western Conference Rookie with the most upside, and that is Marvin Bagley. A lot of people were kind of like, ooh, why isn't Marvin Bagley playing that much? I feel like they're trying to preserve him, man. I think he's a really good player. A really good rookie. He was selected 2nd overall for a reason. The Kings are really high on him. I mean, if they're high on him to the point where they're not selecting Luka, Trae Young, or Jaren Jackson, They see something, and honestly, I think this is the perfect fit for Marvin Bagley and for the Sacramento Kings. If they would have selected Luka, you would have been taking the ball out of the Aaron Fox's hand. Same thing with selecting Trae Young. Jaren Jackson Jr., you kind of have a Jaren Jackson Jr. on your team. He just can't shoot threes, and his name's Willie Cauley-Stein. But, yeah, Marvin Bagley, I think he has high upside. When he was able to play, he proved to be pretty solid. And then, of course, the most undervalued shooter, and that's Buddy Hield. People really forget about Buddy Hield. He's a really good three-point shooter. I know he didn't really show it this year in the three-point shootout, which kind of disappointed me because I had him going to the finals. But I got the winner correct, and that's all that matters. Shout out Joe Harris, who we'll talk about later. But Buddy Hield, a very impressive player, and definitely makes Sacramento look smart for trading for him. So that was really, really good of them. Really good of them. The New York Knicks, they have 2 awards, and the first award is the Career Achievement in the Regular Season Award, and that goes to Mario Hezonja when he blocked Giannis and LeBron in the regular season. So there's 2 separate plays. There's a game in New York where Mario Hezonja blocks Giannis in crunch time, and then there's a play where LeBron's going for like a game winner and Hezonja blocks LeBron. I mean, that's the career moment, a career achievement in the regular season for Mario Hezonja. And then the Eastern Conference Rookie Sleeper, I'm going to go with Mitchell Robinson. He was like second in the league in blocks, right behind Miles Turner, and he was a rookie. So shout out to him. A hidden gem in this draft, and I think he definitely can be the future piece at the center spot for the New York Knicks. The Los Angeles Lakers, let's just say things get a little bit more harsh from here. If you thought my past awards were harsh, it gets pretty bad. We're just gonna start off with the Lakers. The Lakers as a whole, so the entire team, gets the most disappointing team award. I think at the beginning of the season, I had the LA Lakers as a team who was going to make the playoffs in the West and be able to get to the second round and probably get eliminated by a Golden State or a Houston team. That didn't end up being the case. Instead, they finished like 10th in the West, maybe even 11th. And they were pretty bad, man. Pretty bad. Worst front office award, the Lakers front office. They completely botched the Anthony Davis trade saga. They traded Ivica Zubac for like no reason. And they shipped Michael Beasley over for no reason to get Mike Muscala, who was nothing for this team. Let's just be honest. Alex Caruso meant more to this team than Mike Muscala's bum ass. This next award is going to piss off a lot of LeBron fans, I could already tell you. But the man of 1,000 excuses made by his stands award, that is LeBron James. I get it. Injuries suck. The dude missed like, 17 games before he came back. Injuries absolutely suck. I'll be the first one to tell you. Okay, my favorite team in the NFL is the Green Bay Packers, and I just have to use an NFL team as an example. When Aaron Rodgers goes down, it sucks. But you know what? It's a team sport, and we all lose. In the NBA, my favorite team is the Thunder. When Westbrook or Paul George goes down and they start losing, it's a team sport, man, at the end of the day. But the injury seems to be the first thing they point to. Let's not forget, when LeBron did come back to this team, they were losing to the Memphis Grizzlies, the New Orleans Pelicans without Anthony Davis, the Atlanta Hawks, the New York Knicks. They lost to the Cavs at Staples Center. They lost to some really bad teams when LeBron came back, and there's absolutely no excuse for that. If they can win at least the majority of those games, they probably are a playoff team. And during that 17-game stretch that LeBron's out, I know it's tough to ask because I think they went 5-12. If they could have at least went 8-8 and actually won the game set, or 8-9 or 9-8, and then actually win some of those games that they lost to terrible teams, they're probably a playoff team. And then the best rapper on the roster, I have Lonzo Ball. Dude's got bars. That's all I can really say. The Orlando Magic. The most surprising All-Star selection is Nikola Vucevic. I know he could play basketball. I mean, I've been watching Vucevic play for a while. Of course, I know he could play. I know a couple of years ago people were saying he's a borderline All-Star candidate. And it kind of surprised me because I thought, he wasn't going to be selected entering this season. And the fact that he was, it's good for him. I'm happy to see he's finally getting that recognition. The Eastern Conference Trade and Stash Award, I have the Orlando Magic with acquiring Markelle Fultz. I don't even know where Markelle Fultz is at. Yeah, there he is. So I have the Eastern Conference Trade and Stash Award. So basically they traded for Markelle Fultz, taking that high potential. He still has potential. It's not over for Markelle Fultz. He's 20 years old, for crying out loud. It's not over for him. So they kind of just made a low-risk trade. They gave up like Jonathan Simmons and a protected pick to get Markelle Fultz. It didn't really take as much. This is where the awards get a little harsh. This is the has a hit song about him but doesn't perform award, and that is Mo Bamba. I don't think he did much of anything this season. I don't even think he averaged 10 points. I don't even think he averaged 6 or 7 rebounds, honestly. I mean, he just did nothing this season. There was a lot of hype around him. He was a top 10 pick, and, next season could be better. Maybe he's the dude that has a big sophomore surge, and he's in the most improved player of the year category. But, man, so far he hasn't done anything. The Dallas Mavericks, they have several awards. I think like 4, if I'm correct. The Western Conference Rookie of the Year goes to Luka Doncic. Leads all rookies in points. He's a solid rebounder, good at assists as well. His all-around game is just there. I still think he has a little bit of room to grow, but I like the product that we have out of Luka. The Western Conference Legacy Award, where is he at? It goes to Dirk, man. Dirk is one of those players who, there's like a select few of players who I personally think, shaped the league. And was like, I think Dirk was like one of those top 10 most influential players. He was a foreign player who could stretch the floor and shoot threes, and the NBA really hadn't seen anything like that. So he was kind of before his time, and he really revolutionized the stretch big. So you see all these big guys who could shoot now. That's a product of Dirk Nowitzki, man. So he's really an innovator for that. The Western Conference Rookie Sleeper, I have Jalen Brunson. So, Jalen Brunson, yeah, he's a rookie. Just making sure. He was a second-round pick. Hadn't really done much, in the beginning of the year, but, man, he really turned it on in the second half of the season. He looks like he could be a nice, decent rotation player. Could definitely be a solid backup point guard in this league. I like him. And in the Western Conference Trade and Stash Award, I have the Dallas Mavericks acquiring Kristaps Porzingis. They found their next Dirk, man, and they found it in Kristaps Porzingis. Shout out to Mark Cuban, man. He got the deal done. The Brooklyn Nets now, the most clutch player, D'Angelo Russell. At the end of the game in the fourth quarter, he's the dude hitting all the clutch shots. The ice in his veins, it's a real thing. The Eastern Conference's best shooter that nobody knows, Joe Harris. He won the three-point shootout, or the three-point contest in the All-Star weekend in Charlotte. But a lot of people really don't know much about Joe Harris, man. The dude could absolutely shoot the gym out. I mean, he beat Steph Curry in a shooting competition. That doesn't happen by accident. And then the best afro goes to Jared Allen. I mean, look at that head of hair. Dude's got a killer afro. Now for the Denver Nuggets, the Western Conference's biggest overachievers. I gave it to this team, the entire Denver Nuggets team. They went from losing a game that they should have won, that could have put this team in the playoffs last year, to being one of the best teams in the NBA. They should have scored 50 scoring performance, I gave it to Jamal Murray. I think he had 47 against Boston, and he went for 50. He missed the shot, and Kyrie threw the ball in the stands and got fined for it. He should have scored 50, man. The I forget he was still on the roster player award goes to Isaiah Thomas. He's now the third point guard on the depth chart because Monte Morris has taken over that spot. I forgot he was still on the team. I really did. Not even trying to be funny. I found out maybe a week and a half ago that Denver was taking him out of the rotation, and I was like, oh yeah, Isaiah Thomas does play for them. It's kind of sad, man. He went from being like 5th in MVP voting 2 years ago to being taken out of the rotation. It's a sad sight. The Indiana Pacers, the Eastern Conference's biggest overachievers, I gave it to this entire team. The should be Coach of the Year award, I gave it to Nate McMillan. I don't think he'll be the Coach of the Year, but he should be, because this is the second year in a row he's taken this roster and he's made it work without his best player. The Eastern Conference's best buyout market player goes to Wesley Matthews. So normally when a team trades for a player who is high up there in the salary cap, a team, they might cut him, and another team picks him up, kind of claims him off waivers like you do in fantasy football. And yeah, the Pacers got dibs on him, and he's been a solid player for them in the absence of Oladipo. The New Orleans Pelicans, the good guy who looks like the bad guy in this situation award goes to Anthony Davis. You know, he was kind of like that dude who was afraid to say no, and he hired a guy who could say no, and that's Rich Paul. So he basically demanded a trade. He almost got traded to the Lakers, but, you know, the Pelicans were playing hardball, and it just never went through. And now rumors have it that he could be traded to the Celtics. I think 2.5 years ago, I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Stop, you know, keep dreaming. It could happen, and I could be very wrong, and I'll actually be laughing at myself if he is a Celtic. That'll be crazy. The Pay Me Big Money This Offseason award goes to Julius Randle. He's been absolutely killing it this year, and he even developed a little bit of a three-point shot. But Julius Randle has been a much improved player as well. He took a 1-year prove-it deal for like $9 million with the Pelicans. The Lakers didn't bring him back. That was stupid. I'm just going to be honest. They could use a player like him right now. But someone's going to pay him next offseason, and I hope the best for him. And the Career Revival Award, Jahlil Okafor. He was like one injury away at the age of 22, going on 23, from possibly having to go to the Big Three basketball league with Ice Cube. And he gets on this team. He's had a couple of double-double games in the absence of Anthony Davis. He's just played really well in his absence, and he's kind of found a role and found a team that's going to embrace him. And I really like hearing these kinds of stories, man. I don't like to hear people just who are underwhelming players in the NBA selected very high and they just fizzle out. I like to hear good, heartfelt stories like Jahlil Okafor. The Detroit Pistons, I have one award, Team MVP, Blake Griffin. He's the best player on their team. That's it. The Raptors, I only have 2 awards for them. The Eastern Conference Most Improved Player goes to Pascal Siakam. He went from averaging like 7 points a game to averaging almost 17 to 18. He's improved as a shooter, as a defender. You see him bringing the ball up the court as well. Overall, very improved. And the most underrated trade was when the Toronto Raptors acquired Marc Gasol. Jonas Valanciunas is the younger option who's kind of on the same level but not the same player as Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol can stretch the floor unlike Jonas Valanciunas, and he's a more versatile defender. The only thing is he's 33 and not 26 or 27 like Jonas. And that's kind of the only like downside to it. But this team is clearly in a win now mode, and they have the players in place to do so. So best of luck to Toronto. For the Houston Rockets, the Western Conference MVP, I gave it to James Harden. He's averaging I think he finished the season averaging 36 points on the year. He's the first, that's the most points anyone's averaged since Michael Jordan. The Western Conference's best buyout market player, I gave it to Kenneth Faried. He was on the Brooklyn Nets. He fell out of the rotation. He ended up getting bought out by the Brooklyn Nets. He hits free agency similar to fantasy football. He got claimed off of the waiver wire, and yeah, that's what happened to Kenneth Faried. And he was playing good in the absence of Clint Capella. Now he comes off the bench and he's still playing decent. Best shoe collection, PJ Tucker. If y'all don't know about PJ Tucker's shoe game, you better do your research. That's all I can say. The San Antonio Spurs, the most underrated role players, everyone on this team not named LaMarcus Aldridge or DeMar DeRozan. Literally, Rudy Gay, Derek White. Nope. Who heard of Derek White before he came to the Spurs? Nobody. Jakob Poeltl was nice for Toronto. Probably a little bit better here. We'll talk about Burton's later. Brian Forbes, Patty Mills has been doing it for years. Bellinelli's been doing it. Lonnie Walker recently got called up, so I think he could be a solid player. And then the Western Conference's best shooter nobody knows. That's Davis Bertans. He's one of the better three-point shooters in basketball, and he had a high percentage as well, but wasn't invited to the three-point competition in favor of Seth Curry, who shot less threes than him, didn't even shoot as good as a percentage, but the excuse was, oh, Davis didn't shoot enough threes. So I think low-key he got BS'd because Seth Curry, you know, he's from Charlotte, so I think he got BS'd, man. He should have been in the competition. For the Phoenix Suns, one award. The best player on the worst team, Devin Booker. I mean, DeAndre Ayton's probably going to be third in Rookie of the Year voting. That's all I got to say. Oklahoma City, the most hated player, Russell Westbrook. The media just has it out for him. I understand shooting-wise, he's not the most efficient player, but for somebody to take a step back and kind of defer to Paul George, still be a good on-ball defender, still get the rebounds and assists, and still make sure he gets at least 20 points, that's solid. I mean, Russell Westbrook's a huge reason why Steven Adams is successful. Not saying he wouldn't be a good player somewhere else, but Steven Adams has really had it easy with Russell Westbrook. Let's just call it like it is. The most improved role player award goes to Jeremy Grant. He's having a career season with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and a much improved one at that. And then the superhero lookalike award, I gave it to Steven Adams. He just looks like Aquaman, and I thought it was a pretty fun award that I could put in there. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the best moment award goes to Derrick Rose when he scored 50 points. I mean, that was like kind of early in the season. It's a very emotional moment for a lot of people who loved prime D Rose, like myself. I was a huge D Rose fan as well. Wanted him to have as much success as possible, and it sucks, man, that he is not that player anymore, but just imagine if he was. I mean, we could always fantasize, but man, to go off for 50, terrific. And then the under the radar superstar award, I gave it to Karl Anthony Towns. People know that he's a really good player, people know he's an all-star, but man, I think he could be a superstar player, and he's kind of flying under the radar when it comes to that superstar status because he just plays on a terrible team. The Portland Trailblazers, the He's Not Underrated Anymore award goes to Damian Lillard. For years, people used to say, oh God, Damian Lillard slept on. Oh God, people don't give this man the respect or the due. And he finally gets it. He was all NBA first team last season. Do you guys know what all NBA first team means? 2 guards get elected for all NBA first team. The NBA basically said you're one of the best 2 guards in the league. That is not true. I do not care how you think of Damian Lillard. He is not one of the best 2 guards in the league. He's not. He is not underrated. If anything, he's being slightly overrated because, in my opinion, he's a good player, a really good player. Deserves to be an all-star, deserves to be in the top 5 point guard conversations. But people act like this dude is legit being slept on. If anyone's being slept on, it's Devin Booker, because his team sucks. There are more players that are more slept on than Damian Lillard. Give me a break. And then the scariest injury award goes to Yusuf Nurkic. That was a scary leg injury, man. It just looked so nasty when it happened. And I didn't see the injury live, but of course I saw all the playback videos, and oh my gosh, that was terrible. Absolutely scary injury. And it kind of changes their season, because you have CJ McCollum coming back from injury. You have Nurkic, who's going to miss this playoff series with Oklahoma City. And this team could be in a lot of trouble. The Golden State Warriors, the most valuable Warrior goes to Steph Curry. When he's not in the lineup, this team wins about 50% of their games. When Kevin Durant goes out of the lineup, they win like almost 70% of the games. When Klay Thompson's out, it's pretty much the same. Cousins, you name it. Steph Curry, when he's out, they win less. That makes him the most valuable player on the Warriors. The biggest steal of free agency goes to DeMarcus Cousins. I know he's not having a killer season. He is on a minutes restriction. They kind of use him sparingly as well at times, but he's a really good player. It was at one point he was being talked about as a top 3 center, and the fact that he was able to take the mid-level exception for like $5 million to come to this team speaks volumes. It was a really humble move. Of course, people are going to say he's a ring chaser, but I think he took that opportunity knowing that it could change his image, and he can kind of play a different role. And it's not like the Kevin Durant situation. It's not like his team, the Pelicans, were up 3-1 on Golden State, and they just blew the lead. It was nothing like that at all. He was just a player coming off an Achilles tear who was injury prone in his entire career. People never believed in him. Nobody invested in this big guy. And he said, you know what? I'm going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm willing to do it. And then this is a funny award. The Thanos of a 7-game series award. I gave it to the entire Golden State Warriors team. Nobody wants to play him in 7 games. Listen, barring injury, suspension, any shenanigans, there is not a team in the NBA that can beat the Golden State Warriors 4 times out of 7 games. If you're telling me that can happen, barring injury, suspension, all that, everyone's at 100%, you're crazy. It's not happening. I don't care. It's not happening. I mean, there are teams that will have a good chance of doing it. The Thunder, the Rockets, out in the East. I'll give Milwaukee and Toronto a legit shot, and Boston. But they're not going to do it. I don't see it happening. Finally, the Wizards. There's only 2 awards right here. The team MVP, Bradley Beal. When John Wall went down, he basically took this team over. They didn't go to the playoffs or nothing, but it was good to see a player like him get those touches, gain confidence, and score more. And then the LOL, he's still on the roster award, Dwight Howard. I totally forgot he was still on this team, to be honest. I mean, Bobby Portis was playing well. Thomas Bryant was playing well. I forgot he was even on the team, so shout out to Dwight Howard, man. I got to meet him at Lenox Mall, but it's not like I had a full-on conversation. I just saw him, and, you know, we just happened to be there, and I said, hey, that's about it. So let me know how you guys feel about the awards. Are there any you agree or disagree with? And do you have some fun awards you would give out of your own? Let me know down in the comment section below, and peace.